So like I think at my best I was like a 6 or a 7. So at this point I'm like a 4 or 5.
Wait, your best you were a what?
Like a 6. Oh no.
2, 3, 4.
What's up, everybody? It's the STUMIN podcast.
Hey.
Coming at you recorded.
Episode.
Is that the opposite of live? Coming at you live is coming at you recorded.
Live like a week ago.
Like we're live right now, but when they're hearing us say this,
It'll be a week
It will be
ago.
A week in the future for us and the past for that. That's mind blowing right there.
Yeah.
That's philosophical.
Time and illusion.
All right.
Not really, though.
We have a handful of just questions that are just real quick, easy, kind of fun, kind of odd questions that have come through the Q&A box. I thought we'd burn through some just to get through them. I've not told Danny any of these, so
when you submit your questions that you think really hard on Wednesday nights and you drop them,
and we just
he's just like, we're just going to burn through them.
Here's a bunch of dumb questions these teenagers asked us.
That's what Greg thinks about your questions, people.
Oh man!
What an emotional support mailbox.
Yes, it's my emotional support mailbox, not theirs. It doesn't care about their emotions.
True.
It's for me. It only cares about me. Oh man! All right, here we go. Couple quick ones. Gandalf or Dumbledore?
That's actually tough.
Can I start with I don't care? Like not even a little bit. Not into either series. I've watched the Harry Potter movies a little bit, not all of them because it bored me to tears. I have not tried to read the books, and all the book nerds are just like, you gotta read the books.
That's true.
Like, oh, man. I did try to read Lord of the Rings. But when I say read, I mean listen to, because I like audiobooks, especially for fiction stuff. And the person reading the book matters so much.
Oh, sure.
And everybody told me Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
And he is just atrociously terrible. No. Okay, so in Lord of the Rings, I don't really have a problem with him outside of his depiction of one character. There's some like weird dude that frolics through the woods and sings nonstop for like multiple
Tom
chapters.
Bombadil.
Yeah, there you go. And
Dude,
Andy
Tom Bombadil is actually
Serkis's
the craziest
portrayal
character.
of Tom Bombadil singing is like knives stabbing me in the ear hole. Like I can't do it.
So Tom
It's so
Bombadil
bad.
might actually be like, in that world, might actually be like God. It's pretty crazy.
It definitely, there's like a weird depiction, especially like a mythical, like Greek mythology type god I could see.
Well, he's yeah. There's a lot there. you Lord of the Rings people know what I'm talking about.
Well, isn't the author of Lord of the Rings a believer, or did I make that up?
Tolkien. He's Catholic. He was actually part of what helped like lead C.S. Lewis to faith.
Oh, really?
But then C.S. Lewis became an Anglican.
Yeah.
And then Tolkien was really mad about that because Tolkien's
died
Catholic.
inside.
Yeah. So
Yeah, because if you're Catholic, like, and you bring someone to faith, they better be Catholic, or you're gonna be very unhappy about it.
Yeah. So Gandalf or Dumbledore?
So I probably know more about Dumbledore just because of the movies than I do about Gandalf. Because especially in the first book, Gandalf like shows up and then he disappears for a long time.
True.
And he doesn't come back until like the second part of the first book. Yeah. I can't care enough to say.
I'm gonna go Gandalf because, like, sorry, spoiler alert if you haven't read or studied. Like, major spoiler alert: Gandalf dies and like comes back to life. He's like basically in the Lord of the Rings universe. He's basically Jesus.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like he dies and comes back to life, defeating like the evil demon, the Balrog, and then like the entire like rest of the time he's just the goat that like knows everything and is just like predicts a bunch of stuff and like shows up with a random army in the middle of the Helm's Deep battle and like wipes out the orcs and like he's just a mad lad. Dumbledore is pretty awesome. I also have some other issues with Dumbledore, but I'm not sure I can go into that right now.
Spoiler alert, Dumbledore dies and stays dead.
Yeah, he don't come back. He just dies.
So
Gandalf defeats
Dumbledore
death.
Dumbledore is any other god in any other religion.
Yeah.
Dies and stays dead.
That's it. Yeah. So Gandalf.
Okay.
He's the GOAT.
So who cares? Jordan or LeBron?
I'm not a big basketball guy.
Me neither. I mean, I was as a kid because I grew up a couple hours from Chicago in the height of Michael Jordan, and so you're never going to convince me LeBron. I will always say Jordan every time, but I do wonder if, and I'm not even comparing the NBA to today and think because I don't know much about it today, like people like to, but just the world we live in.
Yeah.
Because LeBron gets a lot of heat for being like flopping for fouls and stuff, but like we have social media reminding us of that all the time. I just wonder. I wonder how Jordan would have been depicted in today's world. I don't know.
I'll just split it 50-50.
Do you like the Texans? I mean, I know a lot of Texans, and most of them are pretty cool.
I like a lot of Texans. Most Texans that I've met.
You have two diehard Dallas Cowboys fans in here. And,
Listen.
And we know the pain of that sentence. But here's my problem. Here's why I don't like the Texans, because I probably wouldn't have a problem. They're in a different conference.
Sure.
Like, a lot of people we know are Texans fans, and like, I'm down for like supporting your buddy's team unless it's a direct conflict for you.
Sure.
And so I would be a bandwagon Texans fan when I could, because as a Cowboys fan, you often need a bandwagon team to jump on.
I just have a bandwagon team every year.
But all the Texans fans come at the Cowboys so hard.
Yeah.
And like, I'll jump on Facebook and somebody will like have tagged me in like a picture of like a horse-drawn carriage, like caravan, black and white. It's like, oh, a picture of the last Cowboys Super Bowl parade. And I'm like, your team's never had a Super Bowl parade. You've literally never had a trophy ever. And I'm catching crap from you. It just makes me dislike the team because their fans hate the Cowboys for no reason.
I mean, like, because I'm willing to get along with the Texans, you know? Like,
yeah, I'm on board, but like their fans make it impossible.
Was it 2 years ago when like CJ Stroud was really hot, or was that last year? I think 2 years ago, right, when he was really hot and they were doing pretty good.
He's on the typical quarterback arc where like
he kind of drops off.
Like they start really good. I mean, they're gonna die if I say this. He's on the Dak Prescott arc.
Yeah, he is.
He's like
he
comes in like this amazing prodigy, and then like year 3, it's like, oh, maybe not.
Yeah. Well, like that first year, like I was kind of on board with the Texans. I mean, CJ Stroud like mentioned Jesus in the press conference, and I'm like, okay, like mad respect. I'm a fan, and I was gonna pick the Texans as my bandwagon team.
Doesn't that stink when a fan, like a guy from a team you loathe, and you just I hate you and he's like clearly shares the gospel, and you're like, dang it, I want to hate you so bad.
That's what happened, like the A&M Arkansas game, because the Arkansas's quarterback, he has like the tape or the marker tape, the Tim Tebow stuff, and there's a Bible verse on his arm. I think it was John 14:6. I'm the way, the truth, and life. So it wasn't even like your
It's not like a cookie cutter verse.
Yeah, it was like okay, like
that's awesome.
And we're like Megan and I are watching the game, and we're like yelling for our defensive line, like, come on, sack him,
kill him,
not too hard.
Wait, that's a brother in Christ. But dang it,
I want you to like hit him, but like not too hard because I still want him to be alive.
I'm completely fine though separating my hate for a player from the person. Like I think I can compartmentalize that pretty well.
But yeah, the Texans were gonna be my bandwagon team until the fans kind of ruined it for me, unfortunately.
Yeah. So if you wanted us to like the Texans and you're a Texan fan, it is your fault that we don't, because I really, as the organization doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, how cool are you? Do we get to decide? Does everybody set their own like number?
I was gonna say it depends on who you ask.
Yeah, I don't think the individual usually determines their cool level. Other people usually determine that. Here's what I think. I think that like whatever number you are, I think we talked about this recently. This sounds like a conversation we had now that I'm thinking about it. Whatever number you are in like your early to mid 20s is like, that's the highest you're going to be. And then like,
unless you like make it big in something, and like
for sure. But like the average, like you and I, the average person, right? Like that's most likely your peak. Some people peak in high school even.
I mean,
and go
Taylor
down from
Swift is
there.
like peaking in her 40s.
I mean, that's debatable for sure.
Yeah.
I liked Taylor Swift a lot better like 20 years ago. I'm not gonna lie. So wherever in that like late high school to mid 20s, you hit like your height of cool. Every birthday that has a 0 in it, you lose 1 to 2 points. And so it's a decline from there. So like, I think at my best, I was like a 6 or a 7. So at this point, I'm like a 4 or 5.
Wait, your best, you were a what?
Like a 6. Oh no.
You heard it here, folks. This man,
No.
his
no.
best, he was kind of,
Can we edit that out?
no.
Dang it.
I have all the power here on what we edit out.
It's I'm along for the ride, guys. But if that's true, those two numbers that I mentioned that I won't say again, at this point, I'm at best of 4 or 5. and this is still the best I'm ever going to be for the rest of my life. It's just downhill from here. So what's your number? Where are you at? How cool are you? You're 26.
Yeah.
So
I haven't,
you
like,
should still be
lost.
close to like your peak number.
Yeah.
You got a few years before you lose a couple points.
I don't know.
I don't know that cool is completely linear, but
It's logarithmic.
if I have to break it down into a 2-minute podcast conversation, I think the linear conversation makes the most sense.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, like 7.5. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, just your musical talent makes you cooler than I've ever been.
But I know people that are a lot cooler than me.
Yeah, for sure. And cool is relative, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, all right, next
What
question.
if we have everybody just write down and submit?
Yeah, everybody post in the comments. How cool do you think we are right now? And how cool do you think our peak was at our coolest? This is a dangerous game for my ego because it's not going to go well. Who is Greg's favorite child?
Oh no.
Who is it, Danny? I think this was directed at you.
I think it's Josh.
Definitely Josh.
Josh, you are my favorite.
That's a mean question. Whoever asked that, by the way, that's mean. And I think when you can't fully understand this until you're a parent with multiple kids, but you like your favorite kid because you're not supposed to have a favorite kid. But like you do, it just changes rapidly. It depends on the day.
Depends on the hour.
A lot of times. Like when two of them are fighting and you're just like, shut up. The third one is by default the favorite at that moment because they're not involved in the fighting. But yeah, that's a cruel question that someone tried to pull out of me at the detriment to my family's health. Oh man.
Like throws everything in the chaos.
You've destroyed my family. Thank you very much. I don't know where else to go with that one. R2D2 or CP3O?
See who?
C3PO?
Yeah, it's C3PO.
I don't know if they wrote that wrong or if I typed it wrong. I'm gonna have to go back to the card on that one. Might have been a typo on my part.
Definitely R2. Like
C3PO he's just kind of this like obnoxiously whiny.
He's just comedic relief. Like he's just kind of dragged around.
But
his only job is to be the voice for R2D2. Like that's all he does. Is he just banters back and forth, but because R2D2 just talks in like beep boot, Like
I get that he's supposed to be comedy, but I don't find him funny. If I did, I'd probably like him more than R2D2, honestly.
Sure.
It's because he fails to be funny when he's supposed to be. It's kind of like the chicken in Moana. Is that a chicken? You probably haven't seen Moana,
I haven't seen Moana.
I should have known. You don't know this, but this will offend everyone watching who's seen Moana. There's like this chicken that doesn't talk and just like basically like falls off the boat and is supposed to be funny in the midst of like these chaos scenes. Not funny. Not even a little bit. People are like wanting to throw their phones and computers right now hearing me say that, but it's
you heard it here, folks.
The
chicken.
Last question.
Not funny.
Would Josh beat Greg at carpet ball? Listen, I feel like I have nothing to prove with being cool, and because I just know who I am, and I realize Josh is like a D1 athlete.
Yeah.
There are many, and I will say this first, just so you know, I'm trying to be authentic. There are many things I think Josh would beat me at if we played games.
400-meter hurdles.
Yeah, I would.
No chance.
I would hurdle 0 hurdles.
He would hurdle all of them.
You would probably have to use a little cart to get me off the track after I try to hurdle things. Like Josh and I played a lot of ping pong the last couple summers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm confident that if him and I played 10 games of ping pong, he would beat me at minimum 7 times, maybe 8. I think I would get him at least once or twice. But if him and I played carpet ball 10 times, I'm confident I would beat him 7 times. Like, I don't think I'm so good that he would never beat me, but I'm pretty confident I'd take him in carpet ball, because carpet ball doesn't take a lot of like D1 athlete ability. It just takes a little hand-eye and like understanding trajectory and little
strategy.
Yeah. I think I'd take him out. It depends though. I don't know how much carpet ball you've played upstairs, but I will have nights where no one can touch me, and I'll have nights where like I can't win a game. Like it is. It's hard to be consistent. It's like golf. It's hard to be consistent in that game.
Yeah, carpet ball is like, I mean, for me, that's pretty much it. Like either I'm good or I'm awful, and it's the same thing with like bowling. Or putt.
What's your highest score in bowling ever?
I don't even know. I haven't played bowling in like 4 years.
You know, if someone asks you that, they're just trying to brag about their bowling score, right?
Yeah.
So when we got married, before we had kids, the local bowling alley had like one weeknight was like $5 for unlimited bowling, and so we would just go with some friends and just bowl like all night.
Inflation now would make that like $50.
We'd probably play like 15, 20 games over like a course of 3 or 4 hours.
Wow.
And so I got pretty decent at bowling. I don't think I could do this now, but 217. It's not even that good, but it's better than all of you've done, I bet. So, brag. That's how cool I am.
That cool score just bumped from a 5 to like a 5.2.
Yes. And then I bragged about it on a youth ministry podcast, and it plummeted back down.
But see, you got that like, because I feel like youth ministers / youth pastors are like good at all of those games.
Yeah, it's like dad's strength, only for student ministers.
Because like everybody that I know that works in student ministry is just good at all of those games.
But they're not. It's not that we're like good in general. Like if we tried to go play with like a group of other adults, it's just like you have this gear you can shift into for student ministry, and like. But also, every student minister I've ever met has had some leg injury trying to be cool. Like, a lot of guys, it's knees. I'm grateful mine was just an ankle. Not that your ankles aren't important, but knees are. I don't want to mess up my knees.
Knees are a bit more important.
I think knees are harder to recover from long term.
Yeah,
for sure. So
because that's like John, the guy who is our Winter Blast speaker, like he was the college pastor. I worked with him for a while, and he had a background in youth ministry, and he's just like freakishly good at like every game he plays. Like when you look at him, you'd be like, yeah, he probably hangs, but you wouldn't think he's like freakishly like dominant.
Yeah,
like pool, like the
billiards.
Yeah, billiards. Yeah. That's been my game. Like I can smoke anybody in that game any day. Like I currently have a winning record against Josh in that game.
There's a pool hall in Austin. We should go.
Yeah.
Hang out.
So that's my game. And John just shows up and just casually like at
just smokes you.
11 o'clock at night. Just like
he has one of those breaks where on the break all the balls just go in and you're like, what?
He just like casually walks by and smokes me, and he's like, man, that was a bad game. For him. Like he's like, I didn't play very well. And he like smoked me. I did beat him the next time. But that's it.
Yeah. All right. Well, keep submitting those questions. Even the goofy ones, we'll try to get to them.
Just burn them.
There was a couple more, but they weren't very good. Yeah. So
do better.
All right. So jumping on to our more serious conversation today, we're going to tackle 2 questions today. The first one I think we can hit pretty quickly. Ooh, you okay? I was very focused over here, and I just like turned and.
First question. I'm waiting on you.
I thought you were saying, hold on a minute. I did not follow what you were doing. All right, first question. Is complaining a sin? Is complaining a sin? What do you say?
the answer that I feel like I always say with those kind of questions is like, it depends on what you mean by complaining
Maybe.
first.
Yeah.
Because when we like use the word complaining, I think it has a negative connotation, and like in the connotation we normally think of it, then probably the answer is most often yes.
Yep.
But there are forms of complaining, what I would probably use the word venting,
Absolutely.
where like there's an acceptable form of wrestling and struggling with things, or things being frustrating and voicing those frustrations in a way that's not sinful. That doesn't mean we can use that as an excuse. You know, it's like people use righteous anger as like an excuse for being angry when it's sinful, and it's like, oh, I'm righteously angry, and it's like, no, that's just sin. So it's the same thing where you can't just be like, oh, I'm just venting. Like, no, that is crossing a line. But I think we have to parse between, when we talk about complaining, like what is the harmless kind of venting and just giving some voice to your frustrations and the things that you're feeling. And what is the actual like crossing a line into sin?
Yeah, and I think motive matters a lot too. You know, I think that there's the side of it, like you said, where it almost becomes like because it's not always sin, we just kind of mask it as this so that we can talk about our frustrations in a way that's not healthy. Yeah. But there's also another side of it where I think Christians can be too legalistic on these things too. And like, too many people act like, well, Christians are just supposed to speak holy and kind and like happy, loving all the time. And I mean, there's a little bit of truth to that. But there's also just times in life where you're really frustrated, and like bottling things up inside is not good for your mental or spiritual health. And so you have to have people that you trust, that you're close to. And we've had these conversations in ways before, but like there's plenty of times where I can go to Danny, because Danny and I are peers. We work at the same place and can kind of understand each other and trust each other that like, hey, if I come vent a frustration I'm having to you, it's safe in here. You're not, you know, it's not leaving that conversation. But it's also important that that venting or complaining that I do isn't aimed at like developing your opinion of other people poorly. Yeah. And so motive matters, and how you do it matters. But I think you have to have people that you can blow off some steam to and get your frustrations out. And so it's a fine line to walk, and there's not a perfect answer, because I think every situation's a little bit different. And so you have to check your heart often, and I think it's good if the people that you're venting to or complaining to are the type of people who are willing to be like, hey, I think we've crossed the line and this isn't healthy. And if the people that you vent to are not willing to say that, then you're probably going to get into sin a lot with your complaining, because nobody's checking and balancing what's going on.
Yeah. And I think biblically we see examples of both kinds of like what we'll call the venting and the complaining side of things. On the venting side, we see a lot in conversations that people have with God. Like it's a common thing in the Bible for people to quote unquote complain to God about their circumstances or situations or people. I was just thinking about this morning, like Moses, through the entire Torah, the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Old Testament, and Moses is regularly dealing with just really frustrating people, with the Israelites being really annoying and just kind of constantly missing the point and constantly, being all up in arms about every little thing. And Moses complains to God regularly, and he's constantly like, God, why are you having me leading these people? God, can't somebody else lead? God, I don't feel qualified for this. God, I need help. I can't deal with these people. These are a stiff-necked people, like over and over and over. He's complaining towards God, and God gives him grace and supplies help and provides for him in the midst of those situations, except for the one time where Moses decides to take things into his own hands and strike the rock with his staff to try to force water to come out of it. Yeah. And that's when he crosses a line where God says, okay, like we've crossed that line. Yeah.
Moses too, another time where he is frustrated because there's a problem that he doesn't know how to solve. He goes to his father-in-law. And he's like, I don't know what to do about this. And he goes to Jethro, and Jethro gives him some really helpful wisdom and helps him learn how to like set up their community in a much healthier way. And so a lot of people would define what Moses did when he goes to Jethro as complaining.
Sure.
But
his problems.
Moses knew he had a confidant in his father-in-law who was wise and could help him.
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just a sticky thing because it's tough. And so check your heart and check your motives and find people that you can trust to take your complaints to that are also checking your heart and your motives so that you can, get things off your chest, but do it in a healthy way and not a sinful way.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
And with those things, like talking about how the Bible instructs us to use our words, Philippians 2 says, do all things without grumbling or disputing, so that you may be children of God without blemish in the midst of a crooked and twisted generation among whom you shine as lights in the world. And that point, do these things without grumbling or disputing towards other people, like causing this dissension and division and arguing things and being difficult person to work with. Those, when we don't do those things, like when we do those things without that grumbling or disputing, it's what part of what sets us apart as followers of Jesus.
Yeah. When James tells us to be, we just did this in the sermon a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago, when James tells us to be patient waiting on God, to not grumble against one another.
Yeah.
And so when it's hurtful, when it's complaining, just to kind of point out that you don't like what God's doing or other people are doing, it's probably not a healthy thing. But I want y'all to have the freedom to know that it's good to get your frustrations out and share them with others and let them help you work through them as well. And so, yeah, I don't know that that was a perfect answer.
Yeah.
But I don't know that there is a perfect answer in that. So.
Yeah. And again, like, I think finishing off with like the motive being the important part of it. And is the motive like, I just hate this person and I just want to dog on them the whole time?
Yeah.
Or is it like, hey, this is just really frustrating.
Yeah.
And I just, sometimes we need to process those things externally with otherwise people. Yeah. And that's a healthy place to be.
Think through the unintended consequences too. Like if, in a work situation, like if I came to you and I was just really frustrated with Scott and it painted a picture for you, like I didn't mean for you to like be frustrated with Scott, but I make you frustrated with, that's why it's so complicated. Right. And so, I think we've said probably all we can say on that. And if there's stuff that you're really going through and you need to vent and deal with it, you're just not sure like if it's healthy or not, the best thing to do is probably not find a peer, but find an older mentor, small group leader, student minister, worship minister. Because I think those are safer places with people that are more likely to hold you accountable if you're in a wrong or unhealthy spot about it. Where peers, it's way easier to get into the gossip and sinful side of things. All right, let's jump to question number 2 then. And we've had this one in different ways in like our camp Q&As and stuff, but I think it's good to unpack here on the podcast. How do I stop feeling like a fake Christian, like my faith isn't authentic enough? So I'm going to take the liberty of just assuming that this is a person who feels close to God at times like camps and other spiritual moments, and in the times where life's tough and we fail regularly. They're dealing with doubts about, am I even saved, or why doesn't this feel real? And first of all, Danny, is that person alone in that? Have you experienced that? What would be your answer?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's definitely something that I experienced in the past, and I think it's really common. I think biblically we see it a lot, right? If you just read the Psalms, you see it through like half of the Psalms probably of people struggling with this, like, where are you, God? Like, why can't I see you? Why aren't you present? Why don't you answer me? All those kinds of things, and just feeling like distant from God. Yeah. And then the other side of when I hear this question, I imagine that, our brother or sister who's asking this is either just feeling distant in general, but there might also be some things of struggling with certain sins, getting your butt kicked by something, not producing some particular fruits of the Spirit, some things that kind of make you feel like a fraud. And I think the beauty of the Christian life is that's also normal for us too. Like, there's a lot of times where, we're going to look a lot like Jesus as we walk through certain things. And there's some times where we're going to look very different from Jesus in a bad way. And we see that we've talked a lot about Romans 7 with Paul and just his struggle with doing things he doesn't want to do. And, we see over and over again, like we struggle with those things. Yeah.
Last Wednesday we talked in Psalm 32, and that was like a group of songwriters that they were having to tell their internal voice, right? It says, tells their soul, be quiet. Don't trying not to listen to their soul and the doubts that they have, and choosing to trust in the truth that they know about God.
Yeah.
And that's such a helpful thing to see in Scripture, that there are going to be times where your emotions and the voice in your head or even your soul feels downtrodden and not close to God. And doubt's going to creep in, and you're going to look at your life and realize, I'm choosing sin more than I'm choosing God. What am I doing? How did I get to this place? And those are hard places to be. And I think that we are all on that merry-go-round at times. And I think even the strongest believer is going to go through those things. And what a mature believer knows, because they've been through it before and would want you to know, is the more you train yourself to have that attitude of like, I need to quiet these voices and these lies. I need to deal with this guilt that I'm feeling, because a lot of times it's the guilt of knowing like I'm choosing sin. Train yourself on what to do with that guilt. Take it straight to God and repent, and know that his forgiveness is like what Jesus has done is enough to forgive that sin, just like it was enough to forgive your sins the day you came to know him. And you can be set free from that guilt. You're not meant to live under the guilt and burden of your sin because of what Jesus has done. And so we can choose to trust in the goodness of God. And when we do that, and we trust in God, it really helps us overcome those dark and troublesome times when we have doubts and struggles and we just feel fake. That doesn't mean that they're just immediately going to go away either. Sometimes the trials that we're in are just testing us. And we see that in James. We see that in 1 John. That the Bible clearly shows us we're meant to go through some things that make us struggle and wrestle. And at the end of the day, those things are meant to teach us to chase after God, not withdraw further from him. And when we do that, it builds, the word the Bible uses over and over again is steadfastness, strength and consistency in our faith.
Yeah. And I think with all those things, we've talked a lot in the past about, in a handful of episodes ago, about like assurance of salvation and the like security of our salvation, that we can't lose our salvation. And I think just holding on to those truths as well, because it's just amazing. Like we see throughout the Bible how God holds us and protects us, sustains us. The Holy Spirit's present in us. I mean, Jude, as he's closing out his letter, he's blown away by that he says, to him who is able to keep you from stumbling and to present you blameless before in the presence of his glory with joy. Like it's just amazing that God is able to keep us from stumbling. We had a friend of mine and I, like we had a conversation with a couple of Jehovah's Witnesses a couple weeks ago. And one of the things that Jehovah's Witnesses view of the gospel and stuff like that, like we asked the question of like, do you believe you're saved? And his answer was like, yeah, but, and that's, that always kind of raises an eyebrow.
Not a question with a yeah, but kind of answer.
Yeah. And he was sharing like, okay, but if I like tomorrow, if I do these things, then I'm not saved anymore. And, like we looked at that and we said like, that's honestly what a terrible way to live, that I have to wonder tomorrow, am I still going to be walking on the line or am I going to fall? Where we have security.
And under the covenant of the law of the Old Testament, that was how the believers of God lived, right? They had to bring their sacrifices to the temple and seek God's forgiveness that way through the high priest. The new covenant in the New Testament is not that God abolished the need for sacrifice, but fulfilled it forever in Jesus. Yeah. And if it's fulfilled forever in Jesus, you can't nullify that, or you're back to the Old Testament where it's like, well, that sacrifice covered those sins, but now I'm back broken. You would need more sacrifice. And Jesus would have to come again. And so it's a pretty flawed system of thinking when you look at Scripture. And the good news of that is, because that system of thinking makes no sense, and what the Bible teaches is Jesus is more than enough to cover all of your sins, and that your salvation is secure in him, is that your stupidity is not risking your salvation. And that's good news, because when we feel authentic and we feel fake, what we're really saying is like, I'm living foolishly and not for God. And I see that. What does this mean about me? Does it mean my salvation's not secure? Does it mean that it's not real? Your foolishness is not going to strip away what Jesus has done. And there's a lot of comfort in that.
Yeah. And so with all those things, like I say often that the person that, we're all called to preach the gospel, right? But the person that you should be preaching the gospel to the most is yourself. You should remind yourself of those things often, because it's like Greg said with Psalm 42, like you hold on to truth. You hold on to all of those things when all the feelings are wishy-washy. And so preach the gospel to yourself. The gospel isn't the like entrance exam into being a Christian. Now we move on to the rest of it, right? It's not the ABCs, elementary school, and now we move on to the high school and college of being a Christian.
Yeah. It's
everything. The gospel shapes everything that we do. It's the center of everything that we do and everything that we are and everything that we try to be. So like hold on to the gospel, preach the gospel to yourself often. And then the second part of it that I would say for this question is I raise often, like when you're dealing with doubts and when you're dealing with struggles like that, where does that take you? Is that something that takes you to a place where you're running away from God? You're hiding behind guilt and shame. Is that like, does the story of your life in this moment, does it look more like Adam and Eve in the garden where they kind of hide themselves from God while God's walking around looking for them? Or is it more like the tax collector who looks and beats his chest and says, God, have mercy on me, a sinner? Yeah. Is it the kind of reaction where you want to run away from God, or do you run to God? Yeah. Because Christians aren't perfect people. We just know where to run.
Yeah. An illustration I like to use with students is, you've known me for what, 3.5, 4 years now. Mm-hmm. If I was like right here, right now, like, hey, Danny, I've been hiding something from you. I'm actually a billionaire. But, and I have this like huge house out in Westlake, and like I have like 40 sports cars and stuff. Like it's really cool. Like it's awesome. Like I'm kind of a big deal. Your reaction, like what would be the first thing you'd say to me?
I don't even know what, like
your disposition is you probably don't believe me.
Yeah. Like
so because you don't believe me, what would you say?
Like, where is all of it?
Yeah. You'd be like, can I see that? Can you show that to me?
Like you never drove any of those cars.
And like partially it's because you're like that. I hope this is true because that sounds awesome.
That'd be pretty cool.
And then, but like secondly, you're like, I don't believe this guy.
Yeah.
I've known him for 40 years. There's no chance that he's like got this mansion in Westlake with a bunch of sports cars.
With a church job.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you're like, your disposition towards me is going to make me go, oh, he's calling me on my lie. What am I going to do? How am I going to deal with this? And I'm going to try and deflect and like keep you away from the truth because I know I'm not good for it. But when we approach God, like that's not his disposition. His disposition is not when we struggle and go like, God, my soul is telling me all of these lies, and like my brokenness is seeping into my life, and I don't feel authentic or real as a believer. I don't feel like you're real. What do I do with this, God? Are you real? Why do I have these doubts? It's not like God's going like, oh, they're calling me on my mess. Like, what should I do? Like, God's like, well, come to me then, because I am who I say I am, and bring your doubts to me and I will prove myself faithful. Yeah. And so too often we kind of think like God's like shunning and pushing away our doubts. And the Bible doesn't show us that at all, right?
Yeah,
the Bible is like, cast your cares before the Lord, come to me, find rest, find like all the promises of God are come close, come, don't withdraw, come to me because I am who I say I am. But we so often we take the guilt of our doubts and we withdraw thinking like, oh, God's going to be ashamed of me, or God's going to be upset with me. That's just not what scripture teaches us. And so when you lean into God, he's not trying to hide like that you've discovered he's a fraud. He's going like, yeah, I will prove myself faithful every time because I am who I say I am.
Yeah. And that's where, like, to me, God's faithfulness is probably one of the most valuable like characteristics of God to me, because it means that he doesn't change. Yeah. That he doesn't like, again in James he says there's every good and perfect gift comes from above from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadows do change. Yeah. Like there's no change or shifting or anything like that.
A song we sing all the time, Graves in a Gardens, the God of the mountain is the God of the valley. And sometimes we fail to recognize that in the high moments where we're like close to God, we look at God almost completely differently than we do in the midst of the struggle and our doubts and he's the same. And that's a good truth to hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
So all that being said, just to wrap that up, if you're really struggling with those things, I do think that some of the New Testament and the way that's written, like you think about 1 John and is meant to make you ask the question, am I really saved? And I think that's a good question if you're in the midst of starting, because you should be able to look at your life and see the evidence. Works don't save us, but once we're saved, there are works that should come within us. And so if you look at your life and you're like, look, I said a prayer one time and I got baptized one time, but I have no evidence or recollection of really knowing Jesus. I think those are important things to talk with a spiritual mentor about as well, a pastor or a parent, and just to explore and make sure you have confidence in knowing what it means to be a follower of Jesus and that you are one. But if you're having the doubts and the guilts and the struggles about not glorifying God, that's actually a healthy thing that I think the Spirit, that would be an evidence of the Spirit working in your life too. Yeah. Conviction is evidence of your faith, not evidence that you have no faith.
And the beauty of the gospel is that it's very simple. Like if the gospel was that we had to do the right things, we had to not do the wrong things, we had to bear the fruits of the Spirit and all those things, like if that's what it was, we would all be in trouble. Yeah. But the good news is it's this simple. That's what Paul preaches in Romans 10, this good news, because they try to overcomplicate it. They try to establish their own righteousness instead of submitting to God's righteousness. Yep. And Paul says, guys, it's simple. It's this heart cry, this confession that Jesus Christ is Lord and that God raised him up from the dead. Yeah. It's those two things that, yes, Jesus died for my sins, rose again from the dead, and then his heart cry and confession that he is the Lord of my life. Yeah. And if we have those two things come together, then God's going to figure out the rest in our lives and work out the rest of those things.
So in conclusion, the question, how do I stop feeling like a fake Christian, like my faith isn't authentic enough? To me, it shows two things. It shows conviction and it shows a desire to glorify God. And those two things are good evidence of faith in Jesus. And so I'm encouraged, even though it's not fun to wrestle with those things, that you're feeling that. And if you need us to pray for you or chat with you more, reach out to us because we'd love to talk with you more about it. That's going to wrap up this episode of the STUMIN podcast. We'll catch y'all next week. Y'all stay close to Jesus.
Yeah.